a surety, or you have another form of guarantee that they will fix and maintain that road. Because normally you're not building a road for trucks, you're building a road for your residents, which is primarily car traffic, residential traffic. It needs to be heavier for their use, then you look for them as part of their approval to be responsible for putting in heavier pavement.
As I can tell you, I moved here in 1980, and there was a company that was called Quill. And I remember from 7 o'clock in the morning, right up until nearly dark, nonstop, in and out, in and out, in and out of Maple Avenue. Nonstop. So, I guess that would be one of the parameters of the ordinance, is the time constraints as to the operation.
But at this point, we're just gonna vote on is see if we're gonna move forward with allowing CME.
Well, you're really not gonna have a formal vote. I mean, I didn't go to the conflict engineer and spend the money, because it's their money, and I didn't wanna waste their money if the council had no appetite to consider this further. If you are interested in considering their request further, then I will present it to the engineer, the conflict engineer, and get the opinion of what you need to consider.
Why don't we do a straw poll vote right now about what each member of council's desire is? Is it a good idea to grant this? And if it's not a good idea, then we don't do it?
I think the question is, do you want to explore it further?
Right.
To get an engineering analysis? That's the question I think you need to
And
answer.
that's, and this $5,200 quote that we have, that's just basically for the purposes of the depth of what they're gonna have to do. It doesn't entail the Maple Avenue Road in
Well,
itself.
it's not gonna be a major site plan. It's going to be an analysis. It may include, I really think that you need to go to your municipal engineer for the road conditions. But an ordinance can be crafted that the activity on the site, to the extent that it puts a burden on the roads, the operator of the excavation company is obligated to maintain and repair those roads. And the same thing, what I'm hearing tonight is security. You're going to want the operator of the facility to maintain certain security provisions. So that would be written into the ordinance itself.
Yeah, I'm not willing to indicate whether I go up or down on it, but I'm interested in hearing the kind of neighbor that, because a dredging operation is different than a mining operation, represents a different risk, the kind of neighbor that Pearson will become relative to addressing our concerns. And I think we're willing to entertain this way and to lend such consideration because Pearson has been a good member of the community in the past. So, you know, we want to know that you're as concerned about the risk as you need to be, and that you're going to be actively mitigating it. I mean, it's got to come down off of YouTube, man. This can't be a place that people travel far and wide to come and put motorcycles 100 feet into the air. That's got to stop, especially if it turns into a body of water. I don't, you know, like we said, we just had somebody airlifted out of there. Don't want to find out that somebody, find out the hard way.
Did you know that somebody had been airlifted out of there?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
No, you guys.
we discovered that at the last Zoom meeting.
So can I ask, are you moving forward with flattening out whatever is making it so appealing?
That is correct.
You are already doing that, regardless of whether or not we move forward. Just as a safety to your property that R.E. Pearson owns, you're already removing whatever that attractive nuisance is back there.
And I also want to advise you guys, I have been told by one of the neighbors, there in fact actually is a significant amount of drug activity going on in there in that pit. And we're not just talking about smoking cannabis. Things that are far more serious that they're leaving behind. And this could become a serious liability to you guys at some point in time. If somebody was ever to overdose back on your property, and it wasn't monitored properly, I mean, somebody's always looking for a lawsuit, and it takes $200 for the filing fees to get it started. This could become a serious reality to your company, so just food for thought.
So
Be aware that there's some, more than just ATV riding going on back there, it's some rock issues.
is it the desire of council that I communicate with the conflict engineer and get an engineering
sorry, can you repeat that, Mr. Rocco?
Is it the desire of council that I communicate with the conflict engineer, CME, for them to commence and complete their engineering?
Yeah.
Somebody make a motion.
Do we need to move to
I
do
was
it?
gonna say, I
I
don't
think we
think.
should.
I-
Straw vote, that's all.
I don't need a motion, I just didn't wanna go, if it was a hard no,
No,
Why let them spend the money?
then why have them spend their
Exactly,
money?
right.
So I wanted to, before I did this, I wanted some consensus from council. I think you don't need to vote on this. Because you're not really spending your money, you're spending their money.
Well, full disclosure, if nothing's changed and what I've been told in the past is true, this is the only active licensed gravel pit in Estell Manor and the Pinelands. Probably can't get another one if we let this die. We probably don't have our own source of gravel to the extent that you want it. So, I mean, it behooves us to partner with you, don't misunderstand us.
I do understand.
Okay.
But it's not incumbent upon us, Mr. Dilge, that, for the licensing, it is fully incumbent upon the owner of the property or whoever the applicant would be. We have no participation in that whatsoever.
Of course not. If we did, we'd be getting checks.
Do you have anything else that you wanted to bring to our attention?
No, thank you.
Andrew, could you, and just give me an update of,
And it was absolutely.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm all right now. Yeah.
Your part, I'll contact you.
That's fine.
Please don't. Thank you. Thanks. I'll get a hold of you, Bob, before the weekend, just to discuss about the current situation we have over there.
If you send any emails out, can you send them to all of us so we will be kept apprised of the situation?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so there was a consensus to move forward with an analysis from a conflict engineer.
And we have a quote from, as our QPA has told me, we have a quote from our conflict engineer, which is below the quote level, so we don't need to take any other action.
But if we're not paying for it,
We are not paying for it.
then we don't need anything. I mean, even if it was $20,000, $30,000, it doesn't matter, because there's nothing on the pay for it.
But R.E. Pearson has agreed to pay for it, actually.
Yep.
So you'll do all the contacting, and you'll do all the arranging with them.
Mr. Lambert, you're
I'm gonna
contacting
contact
him.
the conflict engineer and send him what I sent to council back on January 25th for their analysis. And we'll get their analysis.
And the agreement will be between CME and Pearson Construction?
Yes.
So we.
There'll be no money spent by the city. It won't come through the city coffers. It'll be direct payment by Pearson to CME.
Fair enough. Just invoices and.
Okay. If no one else has anything further, then thanks for coming out
Okay,
and
thank you.
keeping us apprised and try to move this along forward.
By the way, I've known about the city of Estell Manor for the entire time I've lived in Jersey, and it wasn't until today that I actually came here. It was really beautiful.
Where the hell is that somewhere?
I love that 5-mile
Where's that
drive.
t-shirt that said that?
It's
Yeah.
awesome, awesome, from 49 to here. Beautiful.
Right now, it's really pretty because you probably noticed that the laurel is all in blue.
Yeah.
The pink laurel is,
I saw it today.
It's like a wild rhododendron.
Yeah, beautiful place.
All right, moving down.
See you all soon.
Thanks,
Thank
fellas.
you.
Thank you.
We have the engineer's report. Frank, thanks for being patient.
Good evening. My name is Carl Gaskell. and
Oh,
I-
Carl, sorry, that's it.
I'm here to cover for Michael, who's, his sister is getting married. So, he had to be there. He submitted a report, 24 May, and I'll just go through some of the highlights of it. Basically deals with, the first item is the block grant Atlantic County from 2019. And Mike advised me that the closeout documents reside at the clerk's office, and between the two offices, they'll get those things squared away. It's paperwork needed in order to get the reimbursement. The second item is the New Jersey Department of Transportation Trust Fund application for fiscal year 2020. That one, Pinelands, interesting. We received a review letter from Pinelands, we responded to it, and Michael has been diligently emailing them to get them to advise us how their review of the revised aspects is going. He'll stay on them. His feeling is that they still should be able to schedule work for this year, is what he anticipates.
Will we be able to do work for both Fifth Avenue and Maple Avenue, that they can both go out to bid? Because Fifth is kind of like really, that should have been completed by now, if it wasn't holding us up.
I don't have an answer for you, Mayor, on that. I'll get it for you. You'll have an answer within 24 hours.
When do you think that we would be able to go out to bid for the Maple Avenue project?
Again, they're both tied up with Pinelands, it's my understanding. And I can't predict how fast Pineland's gonna move. But we're pressing. But stopping short of being such an irritant that it gets lost on the stairs.
And then there's another thing, guys, we received notice about a grant application for putting in the sidewalk. And I do know that this is a very competitive application, and it's for a safe bike pathway or what have you. Let me finish. Where it could be done would be if we were gonna do a sidewalk, we could possibly do it from the historic school right on over to the end of the school property and the beginning of the fire company, but not encroaching onto the fire company property, but it's just a sidewalk so that kids could be more safe. We had a very, very heated conversation many years ago when we were considering putting a sidewalk for 2 miles along Cape May Avenue. And I never saw so many irritated people who just absolutely did not want it at all. Everybody was afraid that kids were gonna go by skateboarding and doing wheelies on their bikes and whatever, and we decided that wasn't gonna be a good application. So I'm just wondering how council feels, if it would not be a bad idea if we had a sidewalk, because I do know that the school kids, from time to time, they do go over to the Risley School for some type of educational purposes. Would we be to the benefit or to the non-benefit to make an application to put a sidewalk in where it would end at the school property? From the corner to the end.
I don't think I would support it, just because if the kids wanna go from the school building over to the Risley School, they walk through the parking lot anyway, they're not gonna, I don't know why they'd go down to Cape May Avenue and use a sidewalk. Given the 2-mile rule with busing and the fact that we bus our kids, despite the fact that we don't have to bus all those within 2 miles, adding a sidewalk just kind of gets you closer to not busing the kids that are closer to the school anymore, and it's not safe condition on a county road. I would rather see all the kids on the bus.
Mr. Dilge, maybe you didn't understand me. I'm saying just the portion from
I understand
the
you.
Risley School to the end of the
Brings you
school
that much
property.
closer.
Got driveways.
Brings you that much closer.
Much closer to,
To not busing kids from within a certain proximity of the school.
if it's just because they're going from one school to the next school, that's gonna
Against the years
cause a
ago.
precedent
Well, from
issue.
one school to the other schools, through the parking lot anyway. Why would you take them all the way out to the road if you could walk from the parking lot?
I just simply bring it to your attention if council's interested to do it or not. So I'm somehow hearing that council's not interested.
I'm just, I don't speak
You
for
walk straight over here.
Does any other member of council feel that, it's a good idea or a bad idea?
I think Mr. Jones is correct as far as moving, when they walk through the parking lot, so I don't think that's an issue there.
Okay,
Ms. Master, do you have anything in mind?
I would have to say I'm not in favor of it. I would agree with them if the kids do go from one to the other, farther back off the road sounds better.
So, we're just gonna stick with the other grant application that we have applied for, and then we have to, by tonight, give you a new road that we'll be applying for.
doesn't have to be by tonight, but we'll need to know this month. And then you have, after the application is
Isn't
submitted.
July the first the deadline?
Yes. Once the application is submitted, you have 30 days from the date of submitting the application to actually pass the formal resolution.
So the one road that does come to my mind is 13th Avenue. That's pretty deteriorated. It's breaking apart everywhere. There's like major portions of the road that's just disappeared. It's crumbled and disintegrated. That does have to get done.
When I looked last year, 13 was probably 13, I thought 13th needed it worse than Maple, to tell you the truth.
Well,
And 16's still dirt, isn't it?
16?
Yeah. Am I thinking of the wrong street?
you're right, 16th is a dirt
16's
street.
still
That would,
dirt.
quite honestly, that would be, you think we're going through a problem now with the permitting process? Wait till you know, put asphalt on a roadway that it's gonna be so complicated. I would like to focus on all the roads that we have, and then perhaps maybe we can do something at a later time. The street next to it is Broad Street. That has a little bit of asphalt on it, correct?
But, yeah, well, I'm sure it is.
It's oil and stone.
If I'm not mistaken, correct.
So, I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be a significant amount of money left over from the 13th Street, and we can, combine two roads. And, Carl, would it be that, being able to do that, they would have to be in very close proximity, or no?
You can apply for up to three roads. You want them the closer proximity the better, but you can apply up to 3 roads in one application, in one community.
Let's go with 3, 13th, 16th, and Broad.
16th is a gravel road in its entirety.
Okay.
But they do limit the amount of money that they're gonna grant you also.
I'm not so sure that I would wanna do that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if that road does get improved, I mean, you were very, very adamant about not putting any, putting a house on that one where the
How many
gentleman was
houses are on
looking.
16th now?
Well, there's a significant amount of, how many houses are on there? There's a house all the way down the end. And there's a house all the way in the beginning. And there's a big, big portion in between, which then means we would be paving the road for all those people that own property in there, which then, they just accomplished 9/10 of what their problem would be, as far as expenses is concerned. I don't think that that's a good idea.
You could be right. So
I think that we would have a,
13th and Broad.
let's just stay with what the improved roads are from there.
13th and Broad.
And Broad Street, stops at, doesn't go all the way down there, or does it?
Saying it stops at Maryland?
Do you happen to have any records that indicate what that street would be?
I don't
I don't know
have,
why I'm drawing a blank, but I think,
your intent is just to improve what already is partially improved, correct? So we'll be back to you.
on 16th should get a road. Look out for nothing.
We'll look at 16th, and we'll look at Broad and make a recommendation.
Good.
I'm sorry, can you say that one
We'll
more time?
look at 13th, and we'll look at Broad
Okay,
and make
okay.
a recommendation.
and then there's also South Jersey Avenue. There's a number of houses that people live on that, and, that would be a good candidate as well. That's currently an oil and stone road.
Okay.
And that has had some issues over the years. We've had it repaired, but nonetheless, those repairs only last for so long.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years generally.
And quite honestly, I've always made a decision based upon the, how many houses are on the street, and that would be a good candidate. There's a significant amount on South Jersey Avenue there too. Okay.
Did you ask about Maple?
I asked about Maple with regards to,
Late summer is our goal on that project.
excuse me,
That's in design now, late summer. is the goal on that project.
late summer is when that can go out to bid.
That's our intention.
But I'm not aware that that's actually being held up by the finance, because that's already an improved road, and now we're just simply gonna be putting asphalt on top of oil instead.
No, we're actually in design on that.
You're in design,
Mhm.
and then the finance has to go.
Goes to the state blesses it. We said bid date, okay. So that's the general area.
Okay, very good. Do you have any other issues to bring up?
No, I've, put the sidewalk back in that rectangular file. 13th Broad, South Jersey Avenue. We'll come back with recommendations on those and estimates. And then you tell Michael what you finally wanna apply for, and do your resolution.
Mr. Lafferty, will we have to do a resolution now to authorize them to go out there to prepare, put together proposals? Or do we wait until they come back?
Wait until they come back.
Wait till they come back.
We're just doing a recommendation now.
Motion to accept the engineer's report?
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next, we have the bill list. Does anybody have any questions about the bill list?
I'll make a motion to accept the bill list in the amount of $239,050.
Hold on.
Second.
I'll second it. Mrs. Owen just seconded it, but I think our new member of council should in fact have the privilege to be able to at least look at it before she votes on it.
Not sure what I'm looking at. These are all the bills for everything you pay for this upcoming year,
Month.
this
No,
month.
month.
this month?
This is the amount.
Oh, okay, okay.
So there, what this is a pile of checks that's sitting awaiting
Oh, okay,
signature. If we approve it tonight, then these bills get paid, they get signed tonight.
okay.
Checks get signed tonight.
Just don't be scared by the school bill there, 'cause
That's the one I was looking at,
that's the standard one that's consistent each and every month with that amount.
okay.
Do you have any questions? Mrs. Masker?
No.
The roll call vote.
There was a motion, there was a second. If there's no questions, roll call please.
Mr. Dilge,
Yes.
Ms. Owen,
Yes.
Ms. Sparks,
Yes.
Ms. Masker,
Yes.
Mayor Vanessa.
Yes. We all
Did you
received
get
a
it all?
packet. Whatever I have, everybody has. Gentlemen. Next, we have, the approval of the minutes. The April 28th, 2021, and the, May 5th, 2021. The executive session, we have to hold that because there's certain things that are in there that I believe that are gonna have to be, reviewed by the labor attorney. I had this conversation with Mr. Lafferty earlier tonight, and I think it's in our best interest to have the labor attorney review the language that's in that, in the minutes.
And there's no harm in delaying, so.
Mr. Moore, was there, minutes from April 28th? I'm sorry, from the May 5th meeting that was sent out to us?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Because I didn't get them.
Yeah, I don't have them either.
No, so I can't vote on that.
Haven't seen
Well,
them.
that's another reason not to
Yeah,
vote on
I'll
that.
let them go until next time.
Send it out to everyone.
Okay.
In the D drive? Or in an email?
I think I sent it by email, but I did also, I'm pretty sure I put it on the Google Drive too.
Yeah, but it's
I
not
don't
there.
have either,
Okay,
I'm sorry to say.
we can hold it.
Yeah, next time.
But we need to do that now.
Okay, moving, so I make a motion that we hold all of the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have correspondence, a letter from the Estell Manor Historical Society. I think that issue's already been covered. Does anybody have any concerns about that?
Need a vote.
Yeah, we need a motion.
Do we have any?
Does anybody have any concerns? Moving down the line here,
Vote.
we
We
have,
have to approve it, right, or decline it, correct?
somebody make a motion.
I make a motion, what is it, September 25th?
For the,
Antique
appraisal,
appraisal,
it's, October 10th.
October 10th. The
What
antique
is the
appraisal.
event?
The antique appraisal?
Okay, so
The
I make
Ridley
a motion,
School.
we allow the antique appraisal sponsored by the Historic Society of Ridley School Building on October 10th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving down to ordinance,
That's
03-2021, the introduction of the cannabis ordinance. I have a couple of comments that I would like to get off mind here. There's something that I'm very, very sure about what's going on right now. The state is going to issue 37 licenses. I believe all 37 of those licenses are probably spoken for. They're waiting for this magical date of August the 21st, I think is the date, to find out which towns are going to opt in and which towns are going to opt out. When August the 21st comes and goes, they are then gonna probably proceed and move forward as to what places that they're gonna be going to. And it will now be after the fact. We have the ability, we heard at the last meeting, that if somebody was going to put up a 2,500 square foot facility, and if we were going to get 2%, that would be $100,000 a year in revenue. Somebody put up a 20,000 square foot building, warehouse, that could have the potential to give us $400,000 to $500,000 a year in revenue. I have sat at this table for a very, very long time, and I have moved into the city since 1980. And I'm gonna tell you something. I have yet to see a rateable come into the city. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen because of the Pinelands. And if somebody is truly interested to want to put up a facility, not only do we get taxation from the improvement of the property that they would, of the building that they would do, not only would we get an annual license renewal, it could be somewhere to the tune of $40-some thousand a year. When you add it all up, we're not too far away from $500,000 of revenue that the city can get. And the reality is, there's no guarantee that anybody's gonna come. But if we were to opt out, and then wait until August the 21st, and then say, okay, we're gonna opt in, we're now 2 to 3 months away from being able to do anything, and something tells me that all 37 of these licensees have made their mind up as to where they wanna go. And we're out holding the bag, no puns intended. We've lost an opportunity to bring in a significant rateable to the community, and I mean that is very, very significant.
Do we have in writing that there's 37 licenses? Did you provide us
Do you
with
wanna,
that?
No, it's going to be 37 licenses. They expect probably 23 of them to go to the municipal, the medical growers already in existence.
Okay.
So there's really not gonna be 37 licenses. They're looking largely at verticalized businesses that are dealing with grow, processing, and then retail. That's what they've been looking at. I know that there's one project in Pleasantville that is very active in pursuing their approval. I mean, we represent certain entities, and we have a cannabis practice group. We met with the cannabis committee on May 14th here in Estell Manor, the ad hoc committee, and I sent, not to this minister, but I sent to council the discussion and analysis of that. What you also received from the Mel GIF today, I believe, through Mr. Moore, their position or their recommendation, and they raised environmental concerns relative to production facilities and such. And the New Jersey League of Municipalities really is, they're formally recommending deferring action on cannabis, but they're taking a wait-and-see approach. I would say better than half of the municipalities have been opting out for now. Just so you know, the law is this: if you do nothing before August 21st, you get everything. It doesn't mean they're coming here, because these are very utility-driven businesses. They use a lot of water, they use a lot of electricity, and they look for density of population. it's not a typical growing like agricultural. These are warehouses.
So when you say, I'm sorry, Mr. Rockland, when you say you get everything,
You get everything from growing to retail.
okay, the whole, all of it.
The
If we,
ca-
if we do nothing, there's 6 components to the cannabis law, and, I can tell you right now, I would be adamantly opposed to 4 of those components out of the 6.
So I wanna make